Hi, I'm Kathy Stuart,
I'm Carol Brown.
And I'm Carol Sharp.
and we have known each other for many, many years. We all went to Auburn, share good memories of those days, and obviously are continuing to share good memories here at Ashland Place. When Ramsey and I graduated, well, when we married, we moved to Mobile, which was his hometown. And after several months of getting settled into our new married life, our new home, our new jobs, we just decided it was time to talk about finding a church home. Uh, Both of us did not have Methodist backgrounds, so we started with the denomination from which we came. We visited the churches in the area where we were living and just didn't find the right fit. Well, about this time, hunting season started. I quickly became a hunting widow, and at that point I said to Ramsey, I'm going to find a church that I feel comfortable going to by myself while you're in the woods. And when we have children, if you're in the woods, I'll feel comfortable taking the children. That's what I did. I visited almost every denomination in this town, except had little Ashland Place kind of at the last of the list. One Sunday morning, I drove down, didn't know a soul, went inside, felt like I was right at home immediately. The people were so friendly, the church sanctuary absolutely gorgeous. It just felt right. Went home, told Ramsey, I found it. You're going to love it. We've been here ever since then, and yes, indeed, we do love Ashland Place and hope we've served it well. Carol?
Well, my story isn't quite like that, but we moved here 45 years ago for my husband to take a job with a large law firm here. We moved to Mobile after having lived in Auburn, Tuscaloosa, and Birmingham, and Huntsville. We were in our first 6 years of our marriage and had no relations whatsoever in Mobile. On the second or third day we lived here, I called one of my college friends from my sorority, and her name was Kathy Stuart. And she immediately said, where are you? And I told her D'Iberville Apartments. She came over with her little 3-year-old and her baby in arms. And I had a little 3-year-old too, so Law Stewart met Meredith Brown, and then baby Meredith in her arms saw a soon-to-be friend who was not yet born with me. Her name was Whitney. And she immediately took over as the hostess in the welcome wagon from Mobile, Alabama. She said, here's your doctor, here's your dentist, here's here's where everything is, the closest grocery store and everything. And she said, here's your church, and Ashland Place Methodist. I didn't grow up as a Methodist, but I grew up as a Baptist. My husband was Methodist, so we had gone to both kinds of churches. And so the very first week, 5 days into our being in Mobile, we went to Ashland Place Church and happened to sit down in the same pew as Jeff and Mary Sessions, who invited us to their house for that week. So we immediately made them as friends. But Kathy and Ramsey were also friends. In the next 20 years, there were supper clubs that we joined. There were Sunday school classes for the children and for ourselves. There were Christmas pageants that we wrote for the children. I helped start the preschool here at Ashland Place, and we all got together, and I taught 2-year-olds, which was unusual since I was a college English teacher, and I had to stop that because I couldn't get them to turn in their research papers on time. But the long and short of it was, it became the center of our life. And I sang in the choir. My husband loved teaching Sunday school. He did that. I was in an adult Sunday school class while my kids were in their classes. That basically we became life coaches for each other. We would sit down, and before we talked about the lesson, we'd say, all right, what are you going to do about such and such? When are you going to let your your daughter get her ears pierced, and what are you going to do cotillion for your children? How many times a week do you go to ice cream? And so we became life coaches for each other too, and we're so intertwined in our lives that all of our friends grew up and are still in touch with each other, and all of our children know each other and have for life. And it's been a wonderful place to connect. I am reminded of the hymn in the hymn book, it only takes a spark to get a fire going, and that's the way I think church has always been for us, the connectiveness in the life you live in the church through all of your committees and your commitments and everything. It is the one thing that has been a constant in our last 45 years. And then one day I got a phone call from a friend from high school, and she started asking me questions. And she wanted to know, did I like my schools for the children? Had I found a good doctor? And about the time she got to the church, do y'all go to church? Where, and I said, what is all this about? And then I'll turn you over to Carol Sharp.
Okay, Bob and I moved here in 1981. So it's been 40 years, that's hard to believe. And before that, we had moved around a lot with his job, and we had young children. And I do remember the day I picked up the phone and called you and told you that. And I was a little nervous about the move, but Carol reassured me that it was a great place to be. And then I told my parents that we were moving from Fernandina Beach, Florida, to Mobile. And my mom reiterated again, find your church and you'll find your friends. And luckily, we had Carol and Doug here, so that made it a little bit easier, but it's quite intimidating to go to a church when you don't know one soul. But because of them, that certainly helped us a whole lot. And like Carol said, we've been involved in the church for that long and just have always felt at home. And supper clubs, Sunday schools, church activities, Blue Lake. We just go, back so far. And our children are raised in this church. All of our children are around the same age, so they grew up together. And we've never looked back.